Adam Taxin with Daniel Greenfield, a.k.a. Sultan Kanish, whose blogs can be found at sultankanish.blogspot.com. His column for yesterday, May 20th, 2012, was Liberating Our Jerusalem, and it coincided with Yom Yerushalayim, which is the day which commemorates the liberation of Jerusalem in 1967. Daniel, thanks.
Yeah.
Why don't we turn this into a little bit of a history lesson, because a lot of people, including a lot of young pro-Israel Jews, don't know exactly what happened, and why don't you just guide us through some of the key points there, whether they're in your column or not, and people should read the actual column.
One of the important things to remember for now, we've got the major debate over what they're calling East Jerusalem, which is basically the part of Jerusalem that was captured back in 1948 by the Jordanian Arab Legion, which was commanded by British officers, and backed by the might of the United Kingdom, which when the Arabs actually lost the war, the King of Jordan, the original King Hussein, said that the British ambassador put a piece of paper down in front of him and that the paper was a request for British troops, and there was actually a aerial confrontation between British planes and Israeli planes back then, but it didn't actually come into a war, primarily because the United Kingdom was counting on American support, and the United States did not have any interest in intervening.
How did the British get... I wasn't even aware that they were so perfidious toward the Jews. I mean, I knew about lots of the things they do, blocking the Holocaust refugees, but I wasn't even aware that they were actively involved in the war on the side of Jordan. The whole original partition, the creation of Jordan, which is the real Palestinian state, was their work. They did everything possible to keep Jews out of Israel during the Holocaust. Millions of Jews effectively died because they were blocked from Israel. British patrols intercepted any Jewish vessels trying to smuggle refugees out of Europe, out of Nazi-controlled territory, and they even went further than that. And at least in one case, British warplanes bombed a Jewish refugee ship. Take us through the history of ethnic cleansing in Jerusalem, what it really has been, as opposed to what the big media says it is today.
Well, in 1948, after Jordanians took part of Jerusalem, they destroyed synagogues. They drove out the remaining Jews from the part of the city that they held. They used Jewish tombstones as paving stones. They turned remainders of synagogues into toilets. Mm-hmm. And they boasted that Jews were never going to come back to this part of the city. And of course, they eventually wanted to take all of Jerusalem, which is how Jordan got into the Six-Day War, which it originally wasn't part of. But when the Jordanian king was told by Egypt's Nasser that the war was being won, that the Jews were on the edge of losing, the king of Jordan decided to grab all of Jerusalem. He gambled and he lost big time. Instead, he lost all of Jerusalem. Israel reunited the city. But now there's this compulsive obsession. Any Jewish housing in East Jerusalem is being described as a settlement. Mm-hmm. There are constant articles about the Judaization of Jerusalem, as if it's possible to Judaize a city that every religion in the region associates with Jewish people and Jewish history.
Who have been the really bad actors besides Joe Biden here?
Joe Biden, beyond what I actually covered in the article, Joe Biden actually sponsored 3 resolutions in his time as senator on behalf of a united Jerusalem. So then he went as a vice president into Israel and threw a hissy fit because some homes had made it part of the way through the approval process in the Jerusalem municipality. But this was really an effort to pick a fight for the Obama administration. It was a naked political effort to browbeat Israel and intimidate it. So suddenly they threw a hissy fit. There were all these claims that Israel had deliberately insulted the United States when the municipality partially approved housing in Jerusalem. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's no bigger insult to the United States than that.
Apparently the biggest insult was that Joe Biden actually supported a united Jerusalem on 3 occasions, but actually having Jewish housing in Jerusalem was incredibly insulting to him.
And Hillary Clinton and David Axelrod, who is Jewish at least by blood, have also been involved in this too, correct?
Oh, yes. So Axelrod is the media thug of the Obama administration. Mm-hmm. Hillary Clinton, incidentally, had also repeatedly endorsed a united Jerusalem, as did Obama for about 14 hours after AIPAC.
Right. Any final thoughts you want to leave people with here?
liberation of Jerusalem is an ongoing process. It's not just we marched and we took the city. There's a physical liberation of the city, but there's also the spiritual liberation of ourselves. We have to liberate ourselves from the occupation. That means the occupation of the media. That means the occupation of left-wingers, whether Jews or non-Jews. It means liberation from the Muslim narrative, from the left-wing narrative, until we're completely free.
Any final thoughts besides that? It sounds like Passover, like the whole freedom thought, the analogy there. Any other final thoughts beyond
liberation that? Liberation is a progressive process, not in the left-wing sense, but in the sense that it's something that we have to keep working on, that we have to keep doing. It's not a static thing where we do it once.
Daniel Greenfield, sultankanish.blogspot.com. Thanks for your time as always.